I'm James Turk. I'm a director of the GoldMoney Foundation, and it's my pleasure to be here this morning with Philipp von Dran of Flossbach von Storch, a money management firm here in Germany. Philipp, thank you for joining me this morning. Looking forward to speaking to you about all of the things that are going on. Let's start with the euro and your views. You know, there's some issues that have been developing with regard to Greek. How do you see this playing out over the next few months?
Yeah, it's not really a surprise for us. We started in 2008, 2009, traveling to Greece, checking their number, doing the real hardcore number crunching, and we made a lot of interviews in 2009 that Greece is going to go bankrupt in 2010, and it would be a great chance for the nation to leave the euro. And it would be in the very best interest of the citizens of Greece. The reason for that, it's not only about the solvency and the liquidity problem, the competitiveness is the real question they are facing. And even if we make the haircut, which we think is the obvious next step, then the issue is still not solved.
Can the German banks afford the haircut?
They can afford the haircut. If it would be only Greece, it wouldn't be an issue. A lot of people always challenge me and argue, Philipp, why are you so worried about 2 or 3% of Eurozone GDP? That's not really relevant, but relevant are 360 billion euros of debt. But in general, we think the biggest portion of this debt is already with the ECB, via the Greece banks and the banks in Cyprus. And I think the German and French financial institutions would be able to handle that. If one or two run into a solvency risk, then the German government has to nationalize them. And I hope this time they will make it more prudent, more the way the US did it than Germany did it the first time.
Well, we've had 3 countries now in Europe on the ropes, Greece, Ireland, and more recently Portugal. I guess the bigger issue is what happens to perhaps Spain or perhaps even Italy. You know, Spain itself is twice, if you add Ireland, Greece, and Portugal together, Spain is twice the economy. What if something were to happen with Spain and it goes into a liquidity or debt crisis similar to these other countries?
Yeah, you are spot on. And that's the reason we traveled to Spain. Just 10 days ago, we met with a lot of institutions there, with the finance ministry, with the big real estate companies, with investors, with unionists, and purely men and women in the street to check, is there any kind of black swan risk in Spain close to us within the next months? We were very nervous when we traveled to Spain. We came back a bit more relaxed. We don't see a major risk with the private banks. They are much better capitalized than, for example, the private banks in Germany. There is a risk with the cajas.
Yes.
We would assume it's around 80 to 100 billion euros.
Which is much bigger than the Spanish government has
definitely,
said.
But still the Spanish economy would be able to take that to its balance sheet. They have around 80% debt to GDP. They would come to levels close to the US if they had to. But short term, we don't think there is a liquidity and solvency risk. The much more difficult issue we think Spain will face is competitiveness going further on and their business model. Because Spain still, in terms of labor cost, is too expensive to attract international companies. And it's not all about tourism, especially if you have Greece devaluing and being much harder competitive structure on the tourism side. So short term, we are a little bit more relaxed. Medium term, the jury is still open. And obviously, we are also taking very close eye to countries like Belgium and Italy, which are the next one we have to travel, and the UK.
Yeah, Belgium's particularly interesting given the political impasse that we have there and the seeming unwillingness to resolve the political question. If you can't resolve the political question, what about the huge debt that Belgium is carrying? It's a real question mark, I think, that has to be resolved.
Yeah, to some extent, I think for the country it's even better to have no government. If you have no government, nobody's there to increase the debt.
Yeah.
But keeping that aside, I think it's absolutely a very important issue, not only about Belgium, but about the questions around the political system in Europe in general. We have Finland, where you have the true Finns now getting traction. We have the Netherlands, we have Denmark, we have Belgium. In most of these countries, you can observe that more liberal-minded people are gaining tractions in terms of votings, and it's getting much more difficult to form stable governments. And that's something which makes somebody who is interested in history quite nervous. We had something like that before in Europe, and the outcome was not the most positive.